Greetings and welcome to the Spread NESN's Football Picks podcast for Week 12 of the NFL season. I'm NESN.com's Mike Cole, joined once again and as always by Ricky. Ricky, it's been a minute.
We ended the Thanksgiving episode with a turkey gobble. Let's start this one with a turkey gobble.
I guess it is. It is still Thanksgiving week.
Yeah.
We are here to make our picks for Week 12. Non-Thanksgiving Day game. We did that already. If you're listening to this before Thursday, hopefully we link to it in the description on YouTube. If you're listening to it on the podcast, go back and find it. This is a perfect Wednesday night drive compliment.
Yep.
I could see people pre-gaming. Nothing better to pre-game to than.
Or you're awakening from a tryptophan induced stupor on Friday.
Well, I'm saying for the Thanksgiving episode.
Oh yeah.
By that point, that's going to be.
Sure, but I mean, you can go back and listen to it retroactively. I mean, call us out on what we missed.
In my dreams, somebody's got this fired up on the big screen as they're, I guess getting ready for Black Friday or whatever. So, that's that. We did the Thanksgiving picks already. I feel a lot more confident about the picks I stumbled across for the Thanksgiving games than I do for the rest of Week 12. You take away those 3 games, it becomes a little trickier to kind of zero in on stuff. We will do our best with our 3, 2, and 1 unit plays as we do every week, but we are going to fly through this because
we're going to keep it traditional, right? 3 unit, 2 unit, 1 unit. That's the way.
Yeah.
That's the play.
I did not look up the records from last week. I don't think it was very good, at least not for me. Other than that, any real big takeaways? I'm trying to think of the big stuff that happened last week. I guess Monday night, if you want to hit on that real quick. Has that changed your views of the Super Bowl race, of who's a contender, who's a pretender? I think that's a big boy win for Philly. Like, the Eagles needed that a lot more than the Chiefs did.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
And the way that they did it, too, where the offense wasn't working for 3 quarters, they came up with some big plays. Kelsey, the fumble was huge, and they took advantage. I still don't love them on a neutral, which just sounds like so weird after they just went on the road and won, but they play that game again at Kansas City. It did feel early on in that game where it was the Chiefs thing was playing out exactly like we'd been talking about, where they were like, oh, this is a big game we get up for. We win this game as a statement, and everyone shuts up about us for a little while. Instead, I don't know.
Yeah, I guess I agree with you that the Eagles needed that more than the Chiefs, but I also don't know if my opinion of either team changed too much. And I think I think a part of that is because I'm thinking in the context of the rest of the league. I still think the Chiefs are, probably maybe the best team in the AFC, top 3, wherever you want to slot the top tier. Same goes for Philly in the NFC. You know what I mean? I don't feel markedly better about either team or markedly worse about either team coming out of that game.
I am now looking into this to see what the numbers are for a Kansas City versus Philly. That's insane. So you can, like FanDuel, you can bet on specific Super Bowl matchups.
Yeah.
Philly versus Kansas City, plus 750. That's so low.
Yeah, I guess that's another takeaway though from
Kansas City versus Detroit, 20-1.
As that was all playing out, it kind of feel like this is a collision course game.
Yeah.
I don't want to say it's inevitable because there are 3 to 5 other teams that could probably disrupt the whole thing. But you just watch them and you're like, yeah, these might be the 2 best teams.
It did kind of feel that way.
If this happens again in a few months, I could see that.
Yeah. It was a good game though. It was a rare Monday night game that I actually stayed up to watch.
It's interesting,
I was rewarded for that.
To see how those 2 teams have evolved since the Super Bowl. It was obviously a much different game than what we saw on the big stage. And I think these 2 teams, sure, they're right. They could be right back in there, but their path to getting there is different than it was last year. They're, especially on the Chiefs side.
Yeah.
They're a different team.
Yep. Yeah, it's far more defensively oriented. And
they got to get some. They don't have anybody to throw the ball to.
No.
That's another thing. That offense is very dependent on Travis Kelce.
Yeah, I mean, MVS he is what he is. Other than that, you got a lot of young guys. Those are, again, up and down. The other big takeaway was Thursday night, Joe Burrow done. So we completely mushed Burrow and the Bengals. And in hindsight, that might have been on us.
Yeah.
Things did not go. After you spiked the football on that tweet, it was nothing went well.
Tough look for the
Bengals,
brand, for sure.
We fight on, though.
Yeah. What do you think of that situation, though? I mean,
what about it? It's a bummer.
Yeah, but I mean, like, the whole, like, leading up to it, the wrist and the brace and
so like there was that tweet out there,
tomfoolery.
Which was a weird one. I think it was Diana Rossini said she talked to somebody. Sounded like she talked to a Raven, right? That's who they played. Who said they heard a pop. I can't. I have a hard time not thinking that Sunday before where he clearly got hurt. He was wearing the thing. Like there's the video of him getting his hand caught. Like all of this is. I don't think it was like a brand new injury on Monday night.
Right.
And so I think they should get punished. Like it's not a good look.
It's just wild too, the manner in which it happened, like how jarring that scene on the sideline was.
Yeah.
Like that was
when like the one where he goes to throw it and it just falls out of his hand.
He shakes his head and it's like, no, this ain't happening.
Yeah.
Like it's. I feel like it's rare that you see like that definitively in the moment. Like, yeah, this guy.
Right.
This is not good. This is not good.
Yeah, it looked like our colleague Sean McGuire throwing a football. It was not pretty. So, all right, let's get into our 3-2-unit, 3-unit, 2-unit, 1-unit plays for Sunday or Friday or whenever. For the rest of week 12, what's your 3-unit play? Let's whip through these.
I'm gonna take the Jaguars, laying 1.5 at Houston.
That's a good game.
This is a sneaky good game. Probably did not have this circled on my schedule at the beginning of the season, yet here we are. This is a very interesting game. And this, for me, it's like I know everybody's on the CJ Stroud bandwagon for good reason. I mean, kid's a stud. Same time, I mean, three picks last week. I don't know if you watched any of that game against the Cardinals.
He got his bell wrong or something. Like he took a hit and it was not the same.
I don't know if it was a matter of like just kind of like getting ahead of himself. Like in the second half of that game, particularly, like there were just some ill-advised throws, which tells me like there's still going to be a maturation process. There's still going to be growing pains. Now you're facing a much better defense, obviously, in Jacksonville. A defense that takes the ball away, 20 takeaways. I look at Stroud's worst games this year. There's 3 worst games in terms of quarterback rating: at Baltimore, at Carolina, which is kind of an aberration, and versus the Saints. Like Baltimore and New Orleans, 2 good defenses, especially Baltimore. I think this is another one where he's going to run into some resistance. You can play the whole revenge spot if you want for Jacksonville after they lost in week 3. That was the week before their back-to-back London games. Look, I mean, I still have questions about the Jaguars as well. I thought a couple weeks ago they had a chance to make a statement against the Niners. Obviously fell flat there. To their credit, though, bouncing back against Tennessee. For me, Houston, somewhere in the middle, right? Yeah. Somewhere in the middle of those 2 teams. I think it's much more on par with that stretch where they played Indy, New Orleans, Pittsburgh, and they won those 3 games by an average of 11.3 points per game. So this, to me, I think they beat up on bad teams. They do enough against the middle teams. I got to see it against the good teams. I don't think Houston's quite there yet for me. Like, I think Houston is on the cusp. Maybe next year we get to that point. I don't know. I still need to see a little bit more from them.
Yeah, I think I lean Houston here. So this might be a spot where we differ on. I think they're good coach with a good quarterback. The Jaguars thing, I'm still not entirely sold on. I get what you're saying, though.
I just feel like
they kind of muck it up in a way that
I think they're on the Jacksonville trajectory. Houston is, and I think Jacksonville is a year ahead.
Fair. Games in Houston, whether that matters. Yeah, I don't know. It's. I'm looking forward to it. I will watch that game or try to. My 3-unit play. I'm going Black Friday. I'm taking the under in the Dolphins-Jets game. It is currently set at 40.5, which is an extremely low number. I mean, kind of speaks for itself. Like it's basically a fade as a Jets across the board. And So Zach Wilson sucks. He's very bad. They took forever to bench him. I was like, well, why are you taking forever to bench him? He stinks. Anything would be better than him, right? Well, they're starting Tim Boyle. And I don't know how familiar you are with Tim Boyle. Do you know where he played his college football?
I know it's somewhere way off the grid.
UConn and Eastern Kentucky.
He had like no touchdown passes and a bunch of interceptions, right? Isn't that his shtick?
So playing against the likes of Southeast Missouri, Tennessee State, Jacksonville State, Temple, SMU, Cincinnati, finished his college career with 12 touchdown passes and 26 interceptions.
Yeah. I feel like we're talking about him in the office recently for reasons.
I know scouting the stat line is a fool's errand. Like, excuse me. There are extenuating circumstances. Who's around him? What systems is he playing in? But, like, I just don't. I would love. Maybe there's literature out there.
Somebody to sit you down?
Like, explain it to me.
Yeah. Because
I'm not so obtuse that I just think, like, a touchdown interception ratio in college is what makes a good NFL quarterback. But multiple people somewhere saw something with him and was like, yeah, I know it looks terrible. I know he's had no success whatsoever at this level, but he might have a future at a level that's 1,000 times more difficult than this. I don't understand that. I truly do not. And he hasn't been, it's not like he's, you put him in a professional offense and he lights up the world. For his career, he's got 3 touchdowns and 9 picks.
I was going to say, it's not like it's, like, I haven't heard what's the redeeming quality there? Like,
literally, for the Jets, he's Aaron Rodgers' friend. Like, they go back to Green Bay, but, like, he, sparingly played in Green Bay. Where was he? In Detroit? And he was terrible. He didn't look good on Sunday. Now it's a short week, technically, of prep. I just don't, like, it's literally, it's kind of wild that he's an NFL quarterback. So I have no confidence in him. So that's not a good start. Like, they might score 10. So let's say they score 10. Can Miami get over 30 against this offense or against this defense? You look at the Dolphins' offense, and since beating Carolina 42-21 a few weeks ago, they have scored 17 points, 31. That was against the Patriots when they scored a touchdown in the final 3 minutes. Otherwise, it would have been 20, 14 and 20. The offense doesn't look as dominant as it's been in recently. They play at a slow pace for a team that's explosive as they are. So I just think you're not going to get as many opportunities here. The Jets are a little bit quicker pace, but you got to think they're going to slow down as well. And, the Jets defense maybe isn't as good as we all thought it was, but they're still like, third in the NFL in red zone touchdowns allowed. I just think this is a really ugly 24-10 game.
Yeah. That Miami was one of my picks last week. And the more the week went on, the more I did not like that selection. Yeah. Like, I don't know what it was.
Last week,
and in that number, it got up to, I ended up taking the Raiders in that game.
Yeah, I was like, this is not.
It got to 14.
This is too obvious.
And I'm like, thought I was ahead of the curve. There was at like 9.5 early in the week. But by the time game time rolled around, I'm like, I don't know if I like this anymore.
Dolphins have some injuries too.
Yeah, Tyreek Hill coming in and out of that game.
Yeah. Achan's hurt.
Yep.
So. That game's going to suck. We talked about Black Friday football. Get out of my. Especially if it's going to be the Dolphins and the
do something else that
Jets,
day.
So. All right, what's your 2-unit play?
2-unit play. I am going this. So I talked about this a little bit on the Thanksgiving episode about a terrible game that has my attention. For all the wrong reasons. Panthers getting 4 points in Tennessee against the Titans.
This was on my list too, so.
2 very, very bad teams, which is just awesome. I don't know. Like, do you want to lay 4 points with the Will Levis-led Titans? Because I certainly don't. Like, I know Carolina's offense is looked broken. But Tennessee's offense is no great shakes either. So this might be another game. I might even look at the under. I think was 37 was the total. So it might be worth a look as well. But Levis, since that debut, he's been bad. Among 38 quarterbacks, released 100 dropbacks. Only 4 have a higher turnover-worthy play percentage than Will Levis. It's P.J. Walker, Tyson Bagent, Desmond Ridder,
Not a good list.
and Gardner Minshew. Only Walker has a worse adjusted completion percentage. And you want me to lay more than a field goal with them? Like, no thanks. I think Carolina, for as bad as they've looked, they did keep it close for a little bit against Dallas. They showed some signs of life towards the end of that first half. Like, there was one drive where I want to say they had like 3 or 4 fourth down conversions, and they were able to run the ball a little bit. And you're like, all right, there might be something here. This is a game. Bryce Young's got to show up for this, right? Like, you can't lose to a Will Levis-led team. Maybe Tennessee's defense is a little bit of a cure for that Carolina offense. Only the Chargers and the Broncos have allowed more yards per drive. Opponents they control the football. Like, that Tennessee defense doesn't get off the field. So yeah, this is just 2 bad teams. I'm getting 4 points. Sure, let's ride.
With the Panthers, their defense has been sneaky good since the bye. You talked about that Texans game. They beat them 15-13, so then they gave up 13. Then they played the Colts. They lost 27-13, but there's 2 pick sixes in that game going the other way. They gave up 16 to the Bears, and then the Cowboys.
Well, that's what did them in against the Cowboys too. Is just like they hang around and then they have a back-breaking turnover,
which I guess could technically still happen against Tennessee, but
sure. But I just think
playing field's a lot leveler.
Yeah, I think you're less apt to see it in this game.
My 2-unit play.
It's an awesome game, though.
It is, yeah, it's sick. For my 2-unit play, I'm going with the Patriots. It was up to 3.5. I saw it at 3. I'm taking it at 3. They're 3-point road favorites at the Giants.
I am staying away. You can have the Patriots. I'm staying away from them for the foreseeable future.
I just refuse to believe that they are a 2-15. Okay, so like they're gonna get another win somewhere. I think it's this one and the Jets, coincidentally. And you just, as bad as the Patriots have been, and again, maybe I'm a slave to advanced analytics to a point where I shouldn't be. For as bad as they've been, the Giants are horrendous. And this was of the, we gotta celebrate our win, right? We gotta celebrate our victories. I asked you.
We saw we fell victim to that last week with the Joe Burrow situation.
We had this conversation in week 2 or 3, or maybe it was earlier in the year. And I asked you, who's the worst team in football? And you were like, well, the Bears might be. I forget who else. I was like, keep an eye on the Giants. They've been horrendous. They've gotten worse. I mean, they're 32nd in overall DVOA, 32nd in offensive DVOA, 27th in defensive DVOA, 27th in special teams DVOA, 31st in EPA offense, 23rd in EPA defense. They don't do anything well. And you go back and look at that game last week. If Saquon Barkley doesn't exist as a human being, they probably lose that game to the Commanders. Like, Barkley was by far the best player on the field, wreaked havoc, helped them win that game, helped make DeVito look a lot better than he was, helped Dayball look a lot better than he is. And yes, he will still be the best player on the field Sunday against the Patriots, but I trust New England more. Maybe this is falling into an old habit of the way things used to be. I think they're going to devise a game plan that slows down Saquon Barkley. You take him away, they have nothing. They literally have nothing. So I think they can do that. They've already, just seeing like some of the locker room stuff or podium stuff, they're already talking about they need to shut down Saquon Barkley. Like, it is the number one thing that they know. The Patriots are bad. They're worse than I could have ever expected them to be. I just don't think they're Giants level bad. I think they have more professional pride. I think they are more likely to be a team that wins games that hurt them technically in the long run. I think this is the start of that. Yeah. Where they end up with 4 or 5 wins to their own detriment. I mean, maybe it's fallen farther than I could ever imagine, but the quarterback thing is so stupid. The Patriots one, where like Belichick's playing this stupid game of, well, I'm not going to tell you guys. Who knows? I don't think it matters this week. They're going to score on defense. Maybe they score on special. It's not going to be pretty, but I think they find a way to just cover the field goal. That seems easy.
That is the Patriots' inevitable fate, right?
Yeah.
That they're gonna win enough down the stretch to fall just outside the top 3
or 4. Like they won't even get Marvin Harrison.
That's what I mean. Yeah. So you're not gonna get one of the top 2 quarterbacks. You're not gonna get Marvin Harrison. and you're going to end up with, probably a tackle, which fine, like that is a significant area of need, but it's also from a perception standpoint, not a needle mover. And it's just going to be like, is this enough to be a transformational draft here? Like it's just, that feels like the way it's going to end up playing.
Yeah,
out.
I'm just
like
looking,
they're bad, but they're ultimately just not going to be bad enough.
I'm looking at a mock draft, just a quick mock draft, Pro Football Network. They have the Patriots at 3 taking Drake May after they have Marvin Harrison Jr. going number 1 overall to the Bears, which I guess but if you're the Bears, why not just trade the pick? Anyway.
That's the thing. Neither of those top 2 quarterbacks is getting past 1 and 2, right?
Yeah,
even if a team has a quarterback, somebody's going to trade up into those slots.
Caleb Williams,
maybe it's the Patriots.
They have the Giants trading up, and then Drake May falls to the Patriots at 3. But after that, it's Fashanu at Penn State and Joe Alt at Notre Dame, like 2 offensive tackles. Like that's great, but like if I'm a Patriots fan, I'd be so bummed,
right?
To go through that entire just dog and pony show of a season to come away with. Granted, it could be a generational, foundational piece, but it's just not going to move the needle.
What good is the tackle if you don't have the quarterback to protect?
There's this, there is a,
like
there's a line of thinking that says you start from the lines and move out, right?
Sure.
Because like if you bring him in with that offensive line that they have right now, if you bring Drake May in and start him day 1 in front of,
I think like best case scenario is you splurge in free agency for a proven tackle, and you get a quarterback that you have on that rookie deal for the next number of years, and then you put some pieces around him, following off season or later in the they have an inability to draft weapons, but you know what I'm saying.
It could be a whole new regime,
but it could ultimately, like I said, though, just be out of their hands.
I've seen some pushback. We said we were going to blow through this, but I'm actually fascinated by the Patriots thing. I still am. It's not pushback from Bill Burr on the Rich Eisen show of saying media people, I guess.
Have you seen Old Dads, by the way?
No. It looks so bad. Not just dump on the guy before I dump on him again. But
I enjoyed it. But go ahead.
We've had this conversation a million times, right? I'm firing him at the end of the year. Bill Burr is like going on, and he's not the only one. There's plenty of people on Twitter too. He's just as bad as them, where it's like, this guy won 6 Super Bowls or whatever. He did all this for you. How do you fire the best coach in NFL history after 1 bad season? You're a Patriots fan. Like, which side of this do you fall on?
Gotta go.
Okay, so I
don't even think it's like a question at this point.
I feel like he was so definitive, and it's like, have you been watching this? And it's not just this year, right? It's like since Brady left, it's been a train wreck.
Yeah.
It wasn't good last year. It's not just that they're going to go, if they go 2-15,
it wasn't, even at the end of Brady's tenure, obviously it got tumultuous, but like even on the field, it was like, something's off here, right? Like, so we're going back, 5 years now?
That's my point. Yeah.
Like, how long is the leash?
I refuse to believe that this is a media narrative thing that has just been made up in thin air between 2 and 6 on the radio here in Boston. Like, it's been a half decade now and it goes back. The player selection goes back even farther than that. It goes back 10 years.
Their missteps and their, just like general unwillingness to address their obvious flaws is like, it's negligent. Like, it's reached the point of just like, it almost feels like you just trying to see like how badly you can dig your heels in and like, hey, they'll never fire me. Like, you just being a dink about it. Like, because that's certainly what it feels like. Because like, how else do you explain some of the decision making?
Well, like, if we talk about the quarterback thing, it doesn't matter. That didn't go into my calculus this week because it's just even. It goes back to the Jets thing. You have Zach Wilson. I guess Zach Wilson was supposed to back up Aaron Rodgers, right? But like, you have nobody behind Zach Wilson other than Tim Boyle. That's not good. That's negligence too. So like, there's that everywhere. I just don't get it. It's okay. Like, things end at some point. And again, we talked about this on the Thanksgiving show with like trends and stuff like that, saying like going back to 2004, who cares that the guy won Super Bowls in 2003, 2004? Like, that has no bearing on 2023 anymore. It just doesn't.
My thing too, it's like, isn't this like a natural point to rip the Band-Aid off? Like you're bottoming out.
That's a good point.
Like you're bottoming out.
Yep.
So if you're gonna
be drafting
start
high,
from scratch.
Get if you want to take a quarterback, bring in a coach that's gonna help a quarterback.
Like why prolong the inevitable? Basically, like why keep them around for another 2-3 years? Maybe they get back to a 7-win team next year, and it's like, well, then you fire them.
If you're
you're like a middling draft pick, like. No, you've reached rock bottom, so now's the time to do it.
If you're him too, why even stay? It's like the height of hubris.
There's a real chance for somebody to leave their mark on this organization this offseason, and if they allow it to be Bill Belichick, then that's on Kraft.
They've skated way too much.
That is that's indefensible.
All right.
You went on a real tangent there.
Well,
we started touching on Bill Burr. Didn't have that on my bingo card.
He's yapping about it's only the media, and I guess we're technically media, so we're just
feeding into it.
But I just don't know what the argument is. What have you seen in the last 3 years? That's just so. All right, what's your one?
Check out Old Dads though. Maybe that'll be your Black Friday.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah,
put that on when you're hanging the Christmas lights.
Yeah, there you go.
You get back inside and get a chill.
Yeah,
ooh, little hot cocoa and Old Dads.
Great.
That'll do it for you. Put hair on your chest. Anyways, 1 unit pick. I'll fly through this. I'll take the Bills. Getting 3.5 points in Philadelphia. You mentioned the Eagles, that Monday night win over the Chiefs being a big boy win for them. So I'm immediately looking for them. Like, where are they going to get tripped up here? Because there have been points over the course of the season where it hasn't looked right, and we've sat here and said, probably better off for it in the long run. But this week in particular, short week, returning home after that KC win, matchups with San Francisco and Dallas, looming after this week. I also just wonder too, are we overreacting to the Bills' downfall a bit? Like, I feel like their issues were underplayed.
I was firing Sean McDermott 2 weeks ago.
Now I'm wondering, maybe we were overreacting because, you do look at it and it's still a very good offensive team by most metrics. Their problem obviously being that they just turn the ball over.
Yeah. Well, the problem too is the schedule. It's going to be hard for them to get back into it too.
Right. But I think for this particular week, I don't know. I mean, in terms of total DVOA, the Bills are 5th behind Baltimore,
which
San Francisco, Kansas City, Detroit.
It's a turnover.
They
do everything well except they turn over the ball at the worst time.
So I don't know. It's just, if I'm getting more than a field goal, factoring in the scheduling spot for the Eagles, I'll roll with it.
Fair enough. My 1 unit play, I have no notes written. What?
Nothing?
Okay. I'm taking Baltimore, laying 4 against the Chargers. Is that Monday night or is that Sunday night? Matters. Sunday night football. That was the most I've watched of the Chargers all year on Sunday, watching them play the Packers. They're just not very good. Bosa's out for the season. Well, not out for the season. He's on IR with a foot sprain. Joey Bosa. I would imagine he's probably done for the year. That's the point. He's going to be ready to come back. What's the point? So that, I think, kind of offsets at the very least the Mark Andrews injury on the other side. I just think Baltimore is you're the Ravens. You have Super Bowl aspirations. This is a game you can't even mess around with. You just go in there, put your foot down, and just throttle them. Also, you want to play the transitive property game that I'm thinking about it. The Ravens beat the ever-living stuffing out of the Lions, and now this is a Lions team that went down to the wire with the Chargers. So, bingo, bango.
Yeah.
Ravens here. I guess the Chargers probably should have won that game on Sunday against the Packers. A lot of drops, especially down at the goal line, or
that one was in Keenan Allen's right in the numbers.
And the Quentin Johnson went down the sidelines. That could have been a borderline walk-off touchdown. So they were in that game. I don't know. This isn't even a Herbert thing, but I'm not afraid to lay 4 points with the road team here. It was going to be basically playing a home game. What a nice holiday weekend for the nice people of Baltimore who kind of heading out to the West Coast, take that extra extended PTO, spend a Sunday night in San Diego, Los Angeles, wherever the hell it is now. So I think again, it's just I think the Ravens roll.
Cool. The Justin Herbert. That's what an annoying case and argument. It's like you dig your heels in defense of Justin Herbert, or you've got.
Have we talked about Justin Herbert this year?
I feel like we did. Yeah.
Where do you sit on him? I don't even.
Oh, I'm very much in on him, but but I also.
Oh yeah, that's right. We talked about comparing him to.
But I'm also not in on him to the point where I want to sit here and tout all his stats, and it's just kind of like a tiring argument.
No, I
don't know how to describe it.
They haven't done a good enough job helping him. Brandon Staley is
But this was a classic week where you mentioned the draw. If everybody else is playing up the bar, they win that game.
But then there are times where it's it
never fits.
If you're as good as the people who love you say you are, you should probably win more games than you have. That's I guess my only pushback on him. He's perfectly fine.
Yeah, and so I get that argument, so that's why
I think we rushed to put him in the Burrow, Mahomes, Allen. He's probably closer to Allen than he is Mahomes. I guess is the way I would describe it. But yeah, I mean, maybe it's a Belichick spot to go back to earlier. But again, Brandon Staley, complete bozo, who is a defensive-minded coach, is getting torn up by a Packers offense that hasn't been able to move the ball on anyone this year. Goes in the post-game press conferences is being a whiny little baby about stuff. So I just think that it's time for everybody in Chargers land to give up, let go of the rope, and this thing could go sideways.
Yep.
Much to the dismay of your season-long most wins.
Yeah, that did not.
I guess technically there's still time. Everything. All right.
Let's get out of here.
Yep. Well, we'll do it again next week. That's Ricky. I am Mike. This has been The Spread. Go check out the Thanksgiving Day episode if you haven't already. That's Ricky wearing a turkey on his head. All of this for what?
I don't know. Let's get out of here. We got meetings to go to.
That's true. We do. Yeah. All right.
I don't know if you saw, but there's a mystery loaf of banana bread in the break room.
Oh,
so break off a piece of that.
Okay, cool. Happy holidays. Goodbye.
See you, Mike.